Tomo News presents 10 scary diseases you can catch at the beach. Those poor animals. Scientists are concerned by a massive shark die-off in San Francisco Bay, but are unable to get state funding to research the exact cause. 2,000 leopard sharks and hundreds of bat rays, smooth-hound sharks, striped bass, and halibut have turned up dead on San Francisco Bay between February and July of this year. The culprit is suspected to be a parasite known as Miamiensis avidus, which enters the shark's nose and eats away at its brain. When the animal eventually succumbs to the parasite, it either swims aimlessly in circles or beaches itself. But scientists say only a small fraction end up on shore. Sharks aren't naturally buoyant, so the infected ones sink to the bottom of the ocean once they stop swimming. Leopard sharks are the most commonly spotted victims of the parasite, but it's a lesser concern for the California Department of Fish and Wildlife since the species is not endangered. Scientists fear, however, that other species are also becoming infected and dying, but just aren't washing up on shore. They also worry that the parasite could spread farther along the California coast.
Kid snatched by sea lion could have a gnarly bacterial infection. A little girl who was pulled underwater by a sea lion in Richmond, British Columbia, may have gotten more than just trauma from the harrowing experience. There's a chance she's been infected with a painful disease known as seal finger. Seal finger is caused by tiny mycoplasma bacteria found in the mouths of seals, sea lions, and other sea mammals. Infections typically occur through bites, or when a pre-existing wound becomes exposed to the animal's blood or saliva. Seal finger is so named because fingers are the most commonly affected, though the infection can occur in other body parts. The affected area becomes swollen and tender with cellulitis and can progress to joint damage. Mycoplasma do not have cell walls, which makes them resistant to certain antibiotics such as penicillin. Fortunately, tetracycline has been shown to successfully treat the condition. Many sealers lost fingers or whole hands to the disease back when treatment was not yet available. The girl in Canada received a superficial wound from her ordeal with the sea lion and is now receiving treatment for seal finger as a precautionary measure.
Bacteria found at Florida beaches and in raw oysters can kill. A bacteria present in the Gulf of Mexico is causing some concern for Florida beachgoers. Vibrio vulnificus is a bacteria from the same family as cholera. It is most commonly found in warm coastal waters as it requires salt to survive. While infections are rare, the bacteria normally infects people who enter coastal waters with an open wound, or those who consume undercooked or raw oysters. Contrary to some reports, the bacteria doesn't eat flesh, but it can still harm the skin. If the bacteria enters the bloodstream, it can then damage the skin, and in 50% of such cases is fatal. Oysters feed by filtering water, from which they extract algae and food particles, and sometimes the Vibrio vulnificus bacteria. If an infected oyster is eaten undercooked or raw, the bacteria can enter the individual's digestive tract and multiply rapidly. According to the Florida Department of Health, the bacteria has infected 214 people and killed 66 since 2008.
Superbacteria found in waters off Rio de Janeiro. Researchers have discovered something very dangerous on 5 beaches in Brazil where upcoming Olympic events will take place. Water samples collected from Guanabara Bay in Rio de Janeiro in 2013 and 2014 showed the presence of a dangerous drug-resistant superbacteria. The 5 beaches infected include Ipanema, Leblon, Botafogo, Copacabana, and Flamingo. Another study showed the presence of the bacteria in the Rodrigo de Freitas Lagoon and in a river that empties into Guanabara Bay. The superbacteria has been classified by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control as an urgent public health threat. The bacteria is drug-resistant and can kill up to half of the patients who suffer bloodstream infections. Experts believe the superbacteria entered the city's waterways through sewage that was channeled into the bay from local hospitals, where the bacteria thrives on stainless steel surfaces. The city had promised to clean its waterways as part of its bid for the Olympics. City officials said that 51% of the city's sewage has been treated, up from 11%, but nowhere near the 80% promised. Rio still has a long way to go before the Olympics.
Rio de Janeiro waters too polluted for 2015 Olympic Games. An investigation conducted by the Associated Press found that the waters where athletes will compete during the Rio de Janeiro 2016 Olympic Games are full of human sewage and could present a serious threat to athletes' health. 4 rounds of viral and bacterial water testing were conducted by a top Brazilian virologist on behalf of the Associated Press at Olympic water sites in Rio de Janeiro. The testing looked for human adenovirus, enterovirus, and rotaviruses. The test results consistently found counts of active and infectious human adenoviruses, which can cause diarrhea, violent vomiting, respiratory problems, and other illnesses. When Rio de Janeiro bid to host the 2016 Olympic Games, the city said it would clean up raw sewage flowing into the Guanabara Bay and reduce it by 80%. But by early 2015, the amount of sewage treated before reaching the bay had actually only reached 49%, up from 17%. From August 5th to 21st, 2016, more than 10,000 athletes from over 200 countries are expected to compete in the Olympic Games in Rio. Nearly 1,400 of them will reportedly come into contact with the waters. Brazilian authorities insist the water quality in the race lanes will be safe by the time of the competitions.
Florida mosquitoes test positive for Zika. Florida officials have been trying to find a Zika-infected mosquito since the first locally transmitted cases were reported in July, with the search akin to finding a needle in a haystack. On Thursday, mosquitoes carrying Zika were finally found in the Sunshine State and became the first conclusive proof of local transmission in the continental U.S. The Zika-positive mosquitoes were found in 3 samples taken from a 1.5 square mile affected area in Miami Beach, one of 2 virus hotspots in Miami. One of the samples was taken from the Miami Beach Botanical Garden, which has bromeliad flowers notorious for being mosquito breeding grounds. Florida has confirmed 49 locally transmitted Zika cases thus far, while 576 others contracted infections while traveling outside the state. Another 80 cases involved pregnant women. Most of the infected show no symptoms, but those that do report rashes, joint pain, fever, and red eyes. The virus is more harmful to unborn babies and reportedly causes birth defects like microcephaly. The new discovery has state authorities stepping up Zika prevention efforts, with Governor Rick Scott pushing for aerial spraying in the area. But with Hurricane Hermine blowing through Florida, not only will measures be delayed, the aftermath will most likely create more enhanced breeding grounds for the mosquitoes.
What you need to know about Vibrio, the flesh-eating bacteria. On June 23rd, 50-year-old Brian Parrott had to have his leg amputated after he contracted a flesh-eating bacterial infection similar to the one pictured here, known as vibriosis. The flesh-eating hook-shaped bacteria is called Vibrio, of which there are about a dozen species. The bacteria is known to survive in warm, coastal areas of brackish or salt water. Even the slightest of open wounds exposed to contaminated water allows the bacteria to enter the body. Species of Vibrio are also known to invade the body through the consumption of bottom-dwelling, bacteria-collecting seafood and shellfish, like oysters. If the bacteria manages to enter the bloodstream, it can cause diarrhea, vomiting, skin lesions, and death. Those with weakened immune systems are more susceptible to infection. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimate 80,000 cases of vibriosis develop each year, with roughly 100 resulting in death. The bacteria most commonly spreads during the summer months from May to October, with roughly 65% of cases resulting from eating contaminated seafood. The Texas Department of State Health Services claims most people who come into contact with the bacteria through open waters do not develop infection.
CDC releases annual Poop in Pool report. With Memorial Day weekend around the corner and May 23rd marking the start of Healthy and Safe Swimming Week, the Centers for Disease Prevention and Control have released what's become an annual warning about swimming pools. The Poop in the Pool report is out, and it's gross. According to the report, which is based on 2013 findings, most inspections of public aquatic venues, almost 80%, identified at least one violation. After reviewing data on 84,187 routine inspections of 48,632 public aquatic venues where people swim, 1 in 8 inspections resulted in immediate closure, and 1 in 5 kiddie or wading pools were closed. The 2013 report found that 59% of the pool filter samples tested contain Pseudomonas aeruginosa, which can cause skin rashes and ear infections. Plus, 58% tested positive for E. coli, bacteria normally found in, well, poop. And if your eyes have ever stung after you've gone swimming, it's usually because chlorine had mixed with poop, pee, sweat, and dirt from swimmers' bodies. Yuck.
Look out below! Seagulls in Alaska are carrying antibiotic-resistant E. coli. You can run, you can hide, but you cannot escape the wrath of the birds. Or their poop. That's basically what a group of scientists in Alaska are warning after studying seagull droppings at landfills along the Kenai Peninsula. In findings published in November, they've discovered a strain of E. coli bacteria proven to be superior to human-developed antibiotics. When antibiotics are ingested, they pass through our bodies and get flushed down the toilet, into the sewage system. However, water treatment plants aren't designed to treat antibiotic residues, allowing them to make their way into the environment. Bacteria in the environment then come into contact with the antibiotic residues, and over time, they become resistant to them. Animals who hang out in places of high human activity, like seagulls, then contract the E. coli and rain terror down upon us. The researchers from the United States Geological Survey aren't sure the E. coli found in the seagull fecal matter can be transmitted to humans, but they are certain that humans are the cause of these infections in the birds. In the United States, the CDC reports 2 million illnesses and 23,000 deaths are caused each year by drug-resistant bacteria.
British hospital ship to join Ebola fight in Sierra Leone. British hospital ship the RFA Argus is preparing to sail to Sierra Leone to help the fight against Ebola. The ship will leave the Falmouth docks in Cornwall for Sierra Leone on Friday. It will sail with a crew of around 350 service people, including 80 medics and 80 Royal Marines. The RFA Argus is equipped with a 100-bed hospital and carries 3 Merlin helicopters. It will remain docked off Sierra Leone for 6 months. Any Royal Marine who leaves the ship for operations on land will go through a decontamination process upon his return. The Marine will also have to answer a questionnaire and have his temperature taken twice a day. Any personnel who show signs of Ebola will be flown to a British treatment clinic in Sierra Leone's Kerry town. The RFA Argus's mission is to ferry supplies and personnel to Sierra Leone. It will not be used to directly treat Ebola-infected patients.